So, hi everybody. I am right now in Europe, in Croatia, of all places, and was just reading a very interesting article today about the devastating effects of the pandemic on students. And I put together this presentation to not both to highlight the problems, but more important, to perhaps offer a way to address these dire student needs in the post-pandemic era. And let me summarize, first of all, my view here. What we've seen, and these are facts, that the pandemic over the last 2 years has caused some tremendous negative effect for students. The first one is that the grades have dropped significantly. A McKinsey study shows that students, on average, have lost at least 5 months behind on maths, 4 months behind in reading and others, and they're about 10 points behind what they compared with what they were supposed to be. So it's evidently that Zoom and just replacing the normal classroom environment has not worked. Another important effect has been the plummeting enrollment, and this hits especially in US, but across the globe. College enrollment has been in US been the largest drop in the last 2 years compared with what we had in the past 50 years. So it's a decline that's very significant. And to reading this article, you could see clearly that not only you would hope by now that due to COVID dissipating that this is going to be better, but it's not. Enrollment are not getting better; they're still getting worse. Um, there's a comment there for Doug Shapiro. He's executive director at the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center. And he also says, and I quote, far from filling the hole of last year's enrollment declines, we are still digging it deeper. So that's a big problem. And maybe the most concerning thing for me is the potential crisis that we experience now in US regarding mental health. So there is a emerging youth mental health crisis. Depression and anxiety have doubled during the pandemic, and many students have been disengaged after campuses shut down. Learning moved online to Zoom. So moving to Zoom doesn't work. And there was an article today that I would like to share with you. And this is where the Surgeon General warns of this mental health crisis, which is rare in public advisory. And it's a very interesting article. If you have time to read it, um, I would like just to quote this a 17 years old senior, Jesus L. So, despite concerned efforts from teachers, many students become disengaged after campuses shut down and learning moved online to the Zoom format. For most of my class, it was just names in a box. No microphones being turned on, no cameras, no chat, Jesus said. Unless the teacher says, say yes, if you're still here, it was just ghost town, kind of. And, this is obviously, if you are a youth and you have those important years, the formating years of your life, it's obviously a very dire impact. Now, I promised to give you some glimpse of hope, so let's look into that right now. Obviously, I am working with virtual augmented reality, traveling the world to do so. And there are some evidence, there's actually some hard evidence that VR, AR can help in this way. One study that PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers did is that the emotional impact of virtual reality, not only compared with e-learning or what we've done now, but also with classroom environment. You can see that average emotional connection during a learning content using VR was 20.43 versus, for example, the e-learning with 529. That's 3.75 more emotionally connected. So that's important. And you don't have to be in a room with a headset. That's the kind of, you can be out there. You can be in the field using, for example, our solution called Merged XR. You can go out in the field of spatial meetings, hold your phone, have encounters, immersive experience with your students, as you will see as we go deeper into our solution. And there's an interesting video here. So I would like to kind of dissect the benefits that this could do. One is learn and train faster. Let's have a look.
We have conducted a study on virtual reality learning. We found learners in VR required less time to learn. They had higher emotional connection to the content, higher confidence, and were less distracted during the training.
So that's very interesting because now you have students that learn faster. This is experience we've had, retain information longer, and obviously can make better decisions. But another aspect of this that I find interesting is confidence. You know, if you're trying to learn something, it's not only about learning, memorizing, it's about applying that. And the level of confidence, this is something we've seen, for example, in our ophthalmology study, that people that were supposed to, students studying ophthalmology that actually have gone through our simulation in VR were significantly more confident of applying that once they've done it. You know, it's and very similar like it is with pilots. So if you think about a pilot, why do they train emergency landing in water in a simulator versus just reading the book? Because you build muscle memory. When it happens, you just do it. More confidence. Let's listen in.
Learners in VR are more confident than learners in traditional training methods.
It's like actually learning on the job, but you just happen to be in your bedroom or in your office.
Yeah, I like that comment from PwC, with the exception that you shouldn't be in your house only or in office. Go out there in the nature. I think that's something that we need. And part of this experience that we create with Merge XR is to illuminate your physical world and connect more with that and friends versus being just inside. Now, the third element, we already kind of touched on that, has to do with the emotional connection, which is something that I truly believe that if we use more of this in technology, students will feel better. And I'm not talking just having a headset. In fact, I, again, recommend to use AR technology like Pokemon Go, that was very popular, but use that similar experience in our environment, but exploring 1.3 million assets and learning experiences. Let's listen in.
VR training isn't just for hard skills. We can actually use it for soft skills.
How to be a better leader, how to have more empathy, how to be better with diversity and inclusion. You can learn all of these in virtual reality.
From computer-based training to virtual reality, it's an exponential step, but it's so exciting.
Yeah, so there's interesting, they mentioned social inclusion, diversity, and I think, yes, this can play empathy, play a big role, and I've experienced that myself. Last but not least, let's talk about focus. Oftentimes when you're on e-learning environment, it's very easy to wander off to something else, but I can assure you it's not easy to do that in virtual reality. Very little like you are in a simulator and you're about to land an aircraft in water, you are paying attention. Let's listen in.
An immersive headset. There's no multitasking. They're focused. The content can now be richer.
The content can be richer for sure. And we're going to talk more about that. And if you want to listen in, there is lots of videos on our YouTube channels that discuss these topics. Topics like, for example, our mission to build a knowledge metaverse. Topics like our focus in K-12, TVET, CTE, and also in the area of higher education, but also methodology. How do we concretely help students to learn, train, perform, and collaborate? Thank you so much.